Streaming on as soon as we start streaming on YouTube, guys, we're gonna jump on. In fact, am I streaming? Am I streaming on YouTube? I think I'm streaming. No, I am streaming on YouTube. Yes. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on YouTube later on, the screen on YouTube froze. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. We are going to be talking tonight about the escalating scenario situation in the Middle East. I'm obviously talking about the Israel Doha Qatar airstrike. The game has changed, ladies and gentlemen. And look, guys, if you live in the United Kingdom, this is going to have an effect. And I believe the threat state for this protest in, Saturday? For the protest on Saturday in London, I believe that threat level has just raised up a notch. Also, and look, guys, for those of you who've been following me for a while, I honestly don't know how this keeps happening. It doesn't happen all the times, but it happens, it happens a very peculiar amount of times. Earlier on, I did a video about the Banksy mural that was sprayed on the Justice buildings in London. Turns out Banksy could have identity revealed as police treat latest artwork as criminal damage. So all the other art, and look, guys, I'll be quite clear. Listen, guys, the crux of this live stream is going to be Israel, Doha, Middle East, protest on the 13th of September in London. That's what I'm going to be focusing on, guys, right? I've just looked at this headline here. So it turns out Banksy may get ousted because he started to go against the wrong people. I'm going to come on to that at the end, guys. I will. I'm going to come on to that at the end. But doesn't it just seem very peculiar how, and I don't know if I'm noticing these things because I'm doing, well, I clearly am doing the article, so that's not even a caveat. Every time I do a lot of these videos and I say things are going to happen, and then later on they happen. It's just very strange. It's very strange. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're live streaming. We're streaming on TikTok, we're streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming on X. So if you want to show your support on all three platforms, ladies and gentlemen, I would be gratefully appreciative if that's the correct English. So, like I said, guys, we are going to be talking. My opening monologue is going to be on the flashpoints right now in the Middle East. So the chat is open. So I may not be able to get to all of your chat, guys. I just literally may not be able to get to your chat. Oh, hang on. I've just seen a comment here. Yup. Hang on. So listen, guys, this is relevant because you'll understand why. But a comment on TikTok's just said, Iran's intelligence website is talking about sleeper cells. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know they're there. We all know they're there at some point operating. Maybe even they're not sleeper cells. Maybe they are cells that are being funded by the British taxpayer. Look, guys, we'll come on to that at the end of this once I've done my opening monologue. Let's just, guys, listen, I've got quite a big monologue to start with. So, tensions in the Middle East, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to affect people in the United Kingdom. Trust me, guys. I believe the threat state has just been raised, and especially regarding the protest on the 13th of Saturday, 13th of September. Sorry, guys. So let's continue, guys. Let's just start. So today, guys, we're diving into the most recent escalations in the Israel-Hamas war. And look, guys, I totally take every argument on this side. I understand from the if you're a Palestinian, I understand what your line of defense is. I understand if you live in Israel. What I'm going to say before we start, before anybody jumps up and says, "Oh, but Sean, are you for doing this? Oh, Sean, are you for doing that?" And before this gets into a heated argument, I'm going to put this to bed right now. What I am for, 100%, I've always said this, is space exploration. 100%. I think we should be spending money on space exploration. I think we should be and this is kind of like a little mantra I have: avoid wars at all costs. Do you understand what I'm saying there, guys? Don't get yourself into a war. If you find yourself in a war, you have to win that war at all costs. And I don't think that's controversial, guys. All right. And what a lot of half-baked Oxbridge politicians in the United Kingdom, in the West, don't understand is the absolute brutality of war and the brutality it takes to come out as the victor in that conflict. So that's what I'm saying, guys. So before anybody jumps in and says, oh, but Sean, what about this? What? I get that, guys. I take all those arguments. What I'm saying from the get-go, guys, is avoid wars at all costs. If you're in that war, you need to win that war at all costs. And you need to make sure the bad guys, whoever that may be, don't come back and attack you in the future. Otherwise, like in Afghanistan, you just have a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of effort, and a waste of resources. So look, guys, I know this is excuse me. I know this is a very delicate, especially if you live in the United Kingdom. I mean, look, guys, it's wild in the United Kingdom. So I am going to be talking about this now, guys. I'm going to give my opening monologue. I am going to stop this a lot more than I would normally to get comments, get you guys feedback, asking questions, speaking about this. But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, right now on the 13th of September in London, the game's changed. The threat state, I believe, will have gone up. So let's just continue, guys. All right. So I think what are we on today? The 9th? Is it? Yes, the 9th. Is it DSEI starts today? I think it does. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the 9th of September, two events have hit the headlines. First of all, the biggest one, well, I guess the biggest one, the Israeli airstrikes on Doha in Qatar, targeting Hamas leaders or Hamas leaders. And look, guys, for any of you who don't know, the word Hamas is translated means violence. So when you're a bad guy, when you're a group, if you call yourself violence, you know, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Whatever it says on the tin. So that's the first thing that hit the headlines. You know, this airstrike on Qatar, on Doha, you know, allegedly, obviously, I don't know who got hit, allegedly hitting the Hamas leadership. The second thing, and I guess this could be in the long term more chilling, would be the evacuation order of Gaza City, which would signal an imminent ground offensive. I don't know why you would ask people to leave Gaza City if you wasn't planning a ground offensive. And look, guys, whether I'm open to everybody's point of view. Listen, guys, I've not got time to read the chat right now while I'm monologuing. Whatever your comments are, guys, all right, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Whatever your comments are right now, if you're commenting in the chat, please be polite. Please don't be rude. Don't swear. And just, you know, if you've got a point to push across, whether you might be Palestinian, you might have people affected, please, guys, all right, try and keep things that I don't have to moderate you, okay? And in that context, you'll be able to get your opinion across a lot more. So, sorry. Now, obviously, these announcements come almost 2 years after, and let's not forget, guys, Hamas's brutal. I mean, it was brutal. There's no other word to describe the 7th of October attack on Israel. I mean, look, I don't want to go on about this because lots of other people have talked about this. But you've got, like, can you imagine your kids going to a music festival and then you never see them again? Like, can you imagine that? The horrendous things that happened in Israel on the 7th of October. You know, me on a personal level, you know, two little girls, I don't have words to describe that, guys. Okay. So let's just give a little, you know, let's start with the roots. We'll talk about, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. We'll talk about the roots. We'll talk about what's happening. And then at the end of this live stream, I'm going to let you guys know how the threat level in the United Kingdom for the 13th of September in London. Guys, look, I did a live stream about this yesterday. I believe things have just escalated to a new level. Anyway, let's get on. So let's start with the roots, guys, okay? On 7th of October, of course, how can I forget? 7th of October, 2023, Hamas, the militant group, you know, that's governing Gaza, launched an attack on southern Israel. I think they called this like the Arabic flood or something. I don't know. I may be wrong on that, guys. I may be wrong. I think they called that the Arabic flood or the I can't remember. I think they called it the Arabic flood. Anyway, this was a planned attack, guys. All right. You know, and as I can remember, this was planned to be on a Jewish holiday as well. So, you know, when people are off work, people are celebrating and, you know, people are having a good time. That's when they planned this attack. Thousands of rockets also came down on Tel Aviv. Jerusalem, you know, is making, you know, which was masking a ground invasion. So here you had a multi-dimensional attack on Israel. And the reason I'm talking about this now, guys, is people in the West, we kind of forget. I don't forget. I'm the Raven. I don't forget shit. So people in the West forget the atrocities that have just happened. And every 4 years, we get a new government come in, and the new government are, oh, yes, go and win the war, but don't really win. Don't really hurt those people. And look, guys, I'm saying this as a veteran of Afghanistan, as a veteran of Iraq, as a veteran of other conflicts I can't mention on this live stream. But do you know how frustrating it is when you're in the military and you can see you're winning the enemy, but you get a phone call from the government and they're like, oh, yes, we may actually lose some votes. Stop being so aggressive. And you're like, no, really, dude, those people, those guys have got British passports and their watches are still set to UK time. We need to finish them off right now. And the government are like, no, we're going to lose too many votes. Give them free food and water. And you're like, are you being serious right now? Are you really? You want me to fight this war and be woke at the same time? So, you know, I do know how difficult it is, guys. You know, I totally understand. You know, you've just got to take that into context. Now, I don't want to talk about the atrocities that happened. I want to talk about the atrocities that happened because people need to understand how bad things were in southern Israel at that. Well, in Israel, I guess at that time. What I'm just going to say is there were bad things happening. You know, like go and Google it, guys. I am streaming on TikTok, and I've got to be very careful with my language while I'm streaming on TikTok, not to get the live stream banned. What I will say is 250 hostages were taken. Now, these ranged literally, guys, I'm not making this up. And in fact, hang on, before I say this, 250 hostages were taken. Now, from mainstream media, obviously, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm giving you guys what I'm being told, okay? 250 hostages were taken, which literally ranged from toddlers. Again, look, guys, I know this is difficult. Toddlers to grandparents, all right? So that is the reality, all right? And they then got taken into, they got taken into Gaza, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. So Israel hit back hard, declaring war the next day. And look, guys, can you remember, like, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, can you remember while this attack was still happening? Look, guys, I'm giving you actual facts now. I'm giving you a little prologue. While this attack was still happening in the United Kingdom, we had people on the streets in London cheering and celebrating. Now, wherever you are on the political spectrum, it's totally up to you. I'm just giving you the facts. I certainly wasn't cheering and celebrating, but that is what happened on the streets of London and other cities around the United Kingdom while these attacks were still going on. So, like I said, Israel hit back hard, declaring war the next day. I think it was called Operation Sword. I think it was called Operation Sword, which started with airstrikes. Airstrikes, blockades, and a ground invasion of Gaza. Here we are, nearly 2 years. 2 years in 2 years in 2 years in October. Official reports. Now, I don't know these numbers, guys. I'm giving you the official reports that I can find from open source media. 42,000 Palestinians have transcended into beams of light. They're the official numbers. Now, whether you agree with that or whether you think that's fine, that's the way that the Israelis are fighting this war. They're fighting this war, and that's the way they're fighting it. Now, it's not for me to criticize anyone. I'm saying what I've always said. If you're in it, you should avoid war at all costs. But if war is forced upon you, you kind of need to win it. Like, can you imagine in Lord of the Rings? Like, Lord of the Rings and imagine the Battle of Helm's Deep. Gandalf comes down and he's running down the cliff and the light and he's blinding everyone, and there's somebody says, "Whoa, Gandalf! Don't kill all those orcs. No, leave. No, you're being too brutal, Gandalf. You're the Rohirrim, leave those orcs. Orcs lives matter. Orcs lives matter." So I'm not going to criticize now, although I could. I'm just going to leave it here, guys, at that. So let's fast forward. I just wanted to give you guys what's been happening in that region previously. I've not mentioned the airstrikes on Iran. I've not mentioned the US airstrikes on Iran. I'm leaving that out there. I wanted to give it just as intense of a prologue as I could. Right, guys, I'm going to come onto the comments. I'm going to jump onto the comments. Right, okay, so Ashley Styles is saying, ask Israeli NGOs to stop bringing migrants into Europe then. I would like to ask all NGOs to stop bringing migrants into Europe. 3.5 Men is saying, I'm working on Saturday, getting home safe to see my kids. Boom. Do you know what? 3.5 Men? I cannot fault you one little bit for that. I would suggest that is the best case for everyone. Coastal Countryside and Drone is saying Prepper had like 1,000 people come on. I think we're talking there about the amount of people that are coming to the United Kingdom on boats. And look, guys, we're going to get Palestinians in the United Kingdom at some point, and then we're going to see how kind and courteous those people are. Ashley is saying GB News, for example, owned by Bill Gates, another lying Jew. Is Bill Gates Jewish? I don't know if Bill Gates is Jewish. Tilly is saying people don't understand it was a lefty wanted 2 states. This day changed everything. Okay, so she's talking with somebody else in the chat. Lowell Prepper is saying stop the feebreeze and stop the boats and save our kids. I agree, guys. I agree. We need to take everything possible in the United Kingdom to protect our children. Formula Liam on TikTok is saying yes. When I don't know. I don't know what I can't. Ben Gvir. I think I may not be pronouncing that word. Formula Liam is saying yes. When Ben Gvir incites ethnic cleansing, we'll get people. I don't know what that means. We'll get people fleeing. Right. Okay. I don't know what context that's in. Retro Man is saying, who's that behind you? Oh, no, he isn't. That's a picture of me. That's a picture of me as a fabled Lord of the Rings character, of course. What No Surrender is saying, getting wild in Nepal. Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know the situation in Nepal, like the Nepalese have overthrown the government and burnt down the government buildings. It is absolutely wild. It is absolutely wild in Nepal right now. Right, guys, listen, I'm just going to jump up and and try and see if we've got anybody. I don't think we have. I think we're good. Right, I'm going to continue, guys. I am going to continue. Hang on. Silly is saying Ben Gvir only had 4% of Israeli support. Israeli politics is complicated. Look, guys, I don't want to comment on Israeli politics. I don't know. As Silly is saying, she's in Israel, that Israeli politics is difficult. I don't know. I've not got enough information in the background of this. It's very easy to skew information and statistics and make them, perceive them to whatever agenda you guys want to throw. What I'm saying is this started after the attacks on the 7th of October. All right. So we have to go with that. Those people that went into Israel, they went into Israel because they wanted to. All right. There's no other reason. Anyway, sorry. Fast forwarding now, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm giving you the background. Fast forward, and I have missed a lot out, believe me. So fast forward into the 9th of September, like, what was it? Today. Fast forward into today, which is the 9th of September. Israel just launched, a bold airstrike in Doha, Qatar's. For those of you guys who don't know, Qatar, the Doha is Qatar's capital city. Qatar is a country on the Arabian Peninsula, a U.S. ally, and I'm talking about. So Qatar is also a U.S. ally and home to major U.S. air bases. The target. It was, and again, listen, guys, I'm going right now from open source media. I've got no inside information. I'm giving you guys what I'm getting from the media right now. So the target was a meeting of Hamas top officials, including their negotiator, as I understand, for hostage talks. The airstrike, and again, right now, at the time of making this video, there's various reports. Some reports are people were injured but not transcended into beams of light. Some reports are that everybody are gone and it's been a successful mission. I genuinely don't know, guys. And all I'm saying is I genuinely don't know. I guess time will tell. But the airstrike definitely went in place. Excuse me. One Qatari officer, sadly, transcended to a beam of light. Qatar, which hosts Hamas's political office, I guess, called it a violation of sovereignty, which it is a massive violation of sovereignty. But like I said, right at the beginning of this live stream, guys, all right, if you're in a war, you need to win that war. And I'm not making excuses for anyone. And if there's people who are Muslim and they've got friends in Palestine, I totally understand your frustrations. Don't get yourself into a war, guys. All right. That's the main thing. All right. If I walk down the street, right. Imagine me walking down the street, right. And Prime John Jones is walking towards me. Yeah. He's going to move out of the way, right? Because he doesn't want to get into a conflict with me. So by doing, I'm joking, guys. Obviously, Prime John Jones is the baddest man on the planet. What I'm getting at is don't get into a conflict. All right, that is the that's all I can say, guys. Do not get yourselves into a conflict, and especially don't be burning flags saying death to this country, we will, and don't go on TV saying you're going to destroy people and then complain when those people you're claiming to destroy get angry with it and start sending military in. Anyway, sorry, guys, I digress. Yeah, it is a violation of sovereignty. There's no way around that, ladies and gentlemen. It is a violation of sovereignty. When you attack a country, and look, say what you want about the Israelis, they're not shy of breaking rules. When you attack another country, it is an absolute violation of sovereignty. The United States was informed beforehand, allegedly, but it's kind of like murky if they said yes or no. And I guess it doesn't really matter at this point because it happened. At the same time, and now this to me is going to be the more brutal thing. At the same time, the Israelis, I think Netanyahu himself ordered, I think there's over 1 million people living in Gaza City. Netanyahu, I think it was Netanyahu. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Netanyahu who said, well, let's just say the Israelis ordered the evacuation of Gaza City. Now, excuse me, they told them to evacuate to the south. Now, that to me and to anyone with half a brain cell, which I know a lot of the government don't have that, especially in the United Kingdom, that is a massive signal about that there's going to be a ground offensive. It really is. They're claiming they're going to dismantle Hamas. They've done, as I understand it, they've done leaflet drops. Broadcasts have been blared out via, helicopters or whatever. Aid groups, obviously, the Liberals are saying there's nowhere safe to go. Roads have been bombed, and the south of Gaza is already a humanitarian crisis. Look, guys, and I keep coming back to this. If you like, avoid wars at all costs. This follows obviously the deadly clashes that have been in northern Gaza, where Hamas have been putting in ambush tactics. The UN have been calling it a catastrophe. Also, there's been the ambushes in Jerusalem. So this thing's crackers. It's bonkers right now. And this is going to affect you if you live in the United Kingdom. It really is. If you live in the United Kingdom, for context, there was a pro-Palestine march in London like yesterday or like recently. I think maybe a couple of days ago. I can't remember the exact days. Everything's blurred, guys. There was a pro-Palestine march in the UK in London where almost 900 people were arrested. So the critical mass of support is already here in the United Kingdom. Now, quick question for you guys. First question of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. How do you think those Palestinian supporters, those pro-Palestine supporters in the United Kingdom are going to react to this march on the 13th of September? Do you think they're going to be joining them and saying, yeah, we want free speech as well. We want free speech. We want free speech as well. Or do you think they're going to be a little bit more angry and potentially not agreeing? I don't know, guys. You put it in the comments what you think is going to happen. I've given you guys warnings about the 13th. I'm not saying don't go. I'm saying be vigilant, guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying be vigilant. Like I said, so we do know that in the United Kingdom, we have that that critical mass of Muslim Islamic demographic. We do. There's no way around it. So why now? Why now? Why is this all happening now? First of all, I don't know. I'm going to try as best. I'm going to try as best to try and encapsulate why now. And in one word, look, guys, when I'm giving this speculation and this analysis, I've got absolutely zero, I've got zero inside information on this. Zero inside information. I'm going to speculate right now, which is all this is, that the airstrike in Doha was an opportune target. I may be wrong on that, guys. I may be massively wrong on that. I'm not claiming that that's the reality. I've got no information. I've got no access to government sources. I'm going to say that that was a opportunist target. I may be wrong on that, guys. So an opportunist target or a time-sensitive target or a TST would be, right, listen, somebody phones, I don't know, the head of the Israeli military, and they're like, right, mate, we've got all the Hamas leaders and they're meeting in this building. And they're like, what building? And they're like, this building here. And they're, right, he's sending me. He sent me a drop pin, and he sends him a drop pin. And he's like, well, we can airstrike that, right? And he's like, we can, but like, it's going to be a massive drama internationally. He's like, yeah, but we can, can't we? We definitely can. He's like, well, we can, but we'll get into a lot of trouble. And they're like, yeah, just do it anyway, whatever. Better to seek forgiveness than permission, which it always is, ladies and gentlemen. Take that in your personal life. Better to seek forgiveness than permission. I learned that in the military, guys. I learned that in the military. Better to seek forgiveness than permission. So that's why I think it happened. I don't think there's any bigger conspiracy with timings or anything. There may be, I don't know. I just think it was an opportunist target. Anyway, so what's next? What's next in this escalation? So if you live in the United Kingdom, the main thing right now, I believe, the threat level on the 13th of on Saturday, the 13th of the 13th of I forget what month it is, the 13th of September. I believe the threat level on the 13th of September has just gone up 4, 5, 6, 10 levels. I do. I really do, guys. You're going to get these fanatical crazies. They don't care about themselves. They don't care what's happening. You know, you've got near-peer adversaries driving into these things, you know. So I do believe the threat level in the United Kingdom has massively jumped up. Absolutely jumped up. And I'm not blaming the Israelis. Like I said at the beginning of this live stream, if you're in a war, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm certainly not defending anyone. I'm saying for any side, generically, if you find yourself in a conflict, you know, you need to win that conflict. Unless you want to be a loser, and nothing good comes to the losers. So don't get yourself in. Anyway, guys, sorry. So what's next? Now, this could go several ways, obviously. There's a multitude of different... In fact, you know, let me get some questions. Jules is saying there are loads of... how do we use that word? Theists in the United Kingdom. We just need to be vigilant every day. Yeah, and look, guys, when we're talking about being vigilant, it's not just those people waving the Palestinian flag or whatever flag they're waving. Remember, look at this girl in this Ukrainian girl. Look at the Ukrainian girl who just, you know, in America. Honestly, guys, that is triggering me. Like every time I see that guy with the red hoodie and the hood up and he's like that, every time I think about that, guys, you know, just like, guys, listen, let's tell our daughters and our children, let's be honest with them right now. Let's be honest with them right now. Because you know what? I'm going to say it. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, if this live stream gets cut right now, which it may do, because I'm going to say something really bad. I don't care anymore. If the live stream goes on TikTok, please jump over to YouTube, guys. All right. If I'm going to say something in a second, I'm just going to give you guys pre-warning. If the live stream gets cut, jump over to YouTube. We're triple streaming, guys. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on TikTok. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. Please jump over to YouTube, guys, right? Because the algorithm on YouTube doesn't restrict me as much. I'm going to say something now, all right? I'm going to say something now. So the live stream may go dead. I don't even care if it does anymore. I would rather that girl be called racist and go home to her mum and dad than not be called racist and be put in a box. That, you know what, that's how I feel. That's how I feel, guys. And I feel so strongly about this incident that happened in America. Like, and the reason I'm saying this is I've one of my best friends, he's Ukrainian, and I in the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, I went out there straight away. I helped get his family out. I had a British passport, so I could move over the border. I helped get his family out, and he's got a daughter. She's considerably younger than this girl. But I went to see her a couple of months ago, last month or whatever it was. And I said, "Oh, how are you?" and that. And I said, "Oh, you should be driving now." And I remember talking to her, and I said, she said, "No, I just use public transport." And I said, "What are you talking about? You should be driving at your age." She said, "Oh, public transport's better for the environment." I was like, "All right, fair enough." And it's so poignant to me, guys, watching this attack on this absolutely defenseless Ukrainian girl in America. It's unbelievable, guys. And like, for me, I'd be like, right, love, just like, don't turn your back to that sort of people. All right, don't turn your back to those people. Avoid being in those scenarios with those people. And you know what? You'll go home to your mum and dad at night. You will. You'll go home to your mum and dad at night. When you start socializing, when you start turning your back to people, and when you look around, you're like, "Oh, how dare she look round? Oh my God, don't you know what these people have been through with that?" Stop it. Please stop it. Sorry, guys. I'm talking about Israel today. I'm talking about Israel. Sorry, guys. I do digress. Anyway, guys. Let me continue. So, sorry. Right, where was we, guys? What would we talk about? I've given you guys what's happened previously. I guess we've talked about what happened today. Today's been a massive day, guys, in the Middle East. Let's not forget the elephant in the room, which is the big old US of A. And look, guys, go back through my previous videos over a year. I've been saying you're going to get this divergence. The United States are going to focus on the Middle East with their regional ally, Israel, and the United Kingdom are going to lead in Europe against the Russians. That's the way of the world, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Put a line under it, accept it's coming, and try and profit from it if you can. Anyway, so what is coming next? What is coming next? So hang on, let me just do this. So Fiona is saying, "Sean, please help me understand why you aren't upset about Palestine." I am upset about Palestine. I'm upset about every loss of life. I'm upset about every Russian soldier that doesn't go back to their parents. I'm upset about everyone in every Palestinian that's lost their lives. I'm also concerned about every Israeli that's living in fear. What I'm saying, Fiona, all wars are pointless. Every one of them. Every war is pointless. In 10 years' time, when you've got a new political system, it will all be different. It will all be different. Everything will have changed and nobody will care anymore. And you'll look back, as I do, and think, why did we even bother? Like, literally, I've got friends who, well, they're not with us anymore. I've got absent friends who gave the ultimate price to protect towns and villages in Afghanistan, and then they were given back. Just, "Oh yeah, thanks, we're going to give these back." So yes, of course it's disgusting. But like I said right at the beginning of this live stream, all war should be avoided. If you're in a war, you need to win it. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's controversial. I really don't. I don't think that's controversial. All right, yup. Hang on, right, yup. Right, okay. Sorry, yup. So yup. Right before this live stream started, guys, listen. I will come on in a second. I'm going to jump onto what's coming next. Yup. Before we started streaming, yup jumped on and said, "Sean, did you speak about did we talk about the 13th of September and the potential for sleeper cells? I've kind of been skirting around it, but as soon as you reminded me, and I appreciate I've been monologuing for 43 minutes. Before we get onto this, guys, I will say the threat level, I believe, on the 13th of September has gone up massively. I do believe this will be there's a higher likelihood for activation of sleeper cells. I don't think there's anything, I don't think that's controversial, guys, all right? When you have got the amount of pro-Palestinian people, shall we say, in London, you're then going to have these people, led by Tommy Robinson, waving his flag around, and you're going to see Israeli flags in there as well. You're going to see all sorts of flags. Those people are going to get angry. And as we've seen, when that type of people get angry, things go bang. That's the reality, guys. I don't care what you think. That is the reality. Historically, that's the truth. So, let me continue, guys, because I've still got a fair bit to get through. I've still got a fair bit to get through. So, what comes next in this? What comes next? What comes next in the Middle East? In the Middle East. Like I said previously, this escalation could go one of several ways, or it could go a totally different way. I'm just giving you guys my thoughts on this, okay? So, it's up to you guys. So Israel may or may not launch a full-scale invasion, ground assault into Gaza City. And that aim would be to crush Hamas's tunnels, their fighting and their fighters. But that would be at a staggering cost and a phenomenal human cost on all sides. On all sides, guys. When I've been talking to you guys about tactics, about different tactics, fighting in a built-up area is horrific. It's horrific, guys. You're not just dealing with a two-dimensional battlefield. You've got you've got a three-dimensional battlefield. It's horrific, guys. Gaza City is densely populated. It really is. It's massively populated. So that's one option. There could be a ground invasion into Gaza City. That the human collateral of that would be unbelievable, guys. It really would. The second tactic with Gaza City could be what we've seen previously, where the Israelis move in and they just bring down building by building. Building by building, they bring them down and they move forwards. That would have a less catastrophic the human toll would be less catastrophic, a lot less catastrophic on that, guys, certainly from the Israeli side. And that would bring into mind, remember Donald Trump's video? What was it? Donald Trump will set you free, bring in the light for all to see. And they're all cruising, having like margaritas in I guess, Gaza. So that would be the second option, I guess. On the Doha strike, this could absolutely derail any diplomacy. Now, again, whether you think you can have diplomacy with a terrorist organization, with an organization that calls themselves violence, which is direct translation, that's entirely up to you guys, all right? Whether you think that diplomacy is even a thing, which would mean that pushing Hamas to harden their stance or even retaliate. And again, I don't know how Hamas in the Middle East right now can retaliate, which is what makes it more terrifying if you live in the United Kingdom, because we know that Hamas can't retaliate in the Middle East because they don't have the cards. Hamas, you don't have the cards, guys. You don't have the cards. So Hamas don't have the cards right now to retaliate in the Middle East. But you know where they do have the cards to retaliate? Yeah, exactly. The good old United Kingdom. Hamas have Hamas have freedom of movement in the United Kingdom. And not only do they have freedom of movement, they have funding in the United Kingdom. And I would speculate that even some taxpayer-funded organizations, their money is funneled into Hamas or Hamas-friendly organizations. Again, you've got to think about the other regional allies of Hamas. So I'm talking about Hezbollah. I'm talking about the Houthis. You know, these guys could up their attacks. You know, there's a whole host of different dimensional attacks that this that could be a comeback from this. Now, if Qatar are going to exit right now and they're going to say, look, we're going to have no more mediations. We're not having mediations in our country anymore. That leaves a void, because if there is to be negotiations for these hostages, and look, I've got to be, you know, I've got to be honest. I'll tell you now what I said right back in 2023. I don't think those hostages are going to get released, because I don't believe those hostages are alive. I don't. I think those hostages are long gone. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone in Israel. I just think, you know, I know the culture in that part of the world, and I know that they may, well, I would speculate that they could be lying and trying to say, well, you know, we've still got them, and if you keep dropping, it's kind of a bargaining chip, isn't it? Also, we've got to think about the, we've got to think about, so if Qatar leave that negotiating, if Qatar leave and they don't want to be the mediators anymore, it's going to leave a void. It's going to leave a massive void. So who might step up? I mean, you could have Egypt, you could have Jordan. I don't know, guys. Egypt and Jordan, they would be realistically the two countries who you would expect to jump up and mediate negotiations. I don't think that's going to happen with either one of those. You've got to look as well at the US election cycle. Now, Donald Trump's not up for election for a long time. So Donald Trump can give the Israelis a lot of support right now. And he's not up for, well, he's not going to be up for election because he's done his second term. So it doesn't really matter for Donald Trump, I guess. I'm just contradicting myself. What I'm getting at here is worst case, a broader war, drawing in Lebanon, Iran, even the Gulf states. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, let's not be under no illusion when we're talking about the Middle East. The Iranians have said that they are going to continue their nuclear enrichment program. 100% they've said that. Go and look at open source media. The press releases, the Iranians have said 100% they are going to continue their uranium enrichment program. The Americans have said, we will not let the Iranians enrich uranium under no circumstances. So you see the broader war that's getting drawn in right now, guys, in the Middle East. It's unbelievable. Now, I think there's like a slim chance for renewed talks right now. I do, between the Israelis and Hamas. I mean, if you was an Israeli, why would you bother going and talking to these people? And I don't mean that disrespectful to anyone who is Palestinian. I'm just saying, strategically, you've won. It's game, set, and match. In a couple of days, you're going to have taken Gaza City. Why am I going to come and negotiate with you? I'm not going to negotiate with you when I've won. It's over for you. So that's where we are right now, guys. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear, guys, all right? This all stems from October the 7th. It does. I don't really take any arguments about what were they support. I don't take any of those arguments, guys. I don't take any of those arguments. All stems from September the 7th, 2023. Everything stems to it right now. And everything I'm saying right now comes back to what I initially said. You should avoid wars at all costs. But if you're in a war, you need to win them at all costs. And wars are brutal. They are. They're brutal. Nobody wants to be in a war. If you're in the West, like Western politicians and Western leaders, they're under this illusion that you can win a war and still treat your enemy nice. You can, of course, be polite to them. Nobody needs to be rude. That is totally acceptable. But you can't win a war and not win a war. You either win a war or you don't. You know, and the analogy I will give to you guys right now is look at the conflict in Afghanistan. 20 years, which went from a war fighting conflict, and the guys were doing a fantastic job. They were taking and breaking. They were doing what they've been trained to do. And then all of a sudden, we got we got our hands tied behind our backs, and people were saying, "Oh yes, well this is not public opinion isn't we don't like public opinion." And you're like, right, okay, do you want us to win, or do you want to win your votes? And that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Right? It's hard. It is hard. You should avoid wars at all costs. If you're in a war, you need to. Unfortunately, I don't think this is controversial either. I'm talking about all sides now. If you're in a war, if you find yourself in a war, you should do everything to win that war. Can diplomacy prevail right now? I'm not seeing any signs that diplomacy can prevail, guys. Not even remotely. From the Hamas side, they're not going to go to any peace negotiations right now because they're going to be scared of a missile coming through the window. From the Israeli side, why would they even bother? Why would the Israelis bother going to a peace negotiation when it's only a matter of time before they've got total control? So I don't believe it's on the cards, guys. I don't believe it's on the cards. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've covered everything there. That is what I wanted to get through today. I'm going to jump onto your comments. What do you think should happen? I'm talking about public opinion now. As far as you're concerned, what would you do to de-escalate this situation? What would you do to return those hostages? What would you do to bring back peace and stability in that region? Anyway, guys, right? I'm going to jump over to TikTok first. Not TikTok, YouTube. Lisa Jane is saying thank you, Sean. Tim Linsky is saying, just had my sister visit. She lives near you, Sean. So blind to what's happening right now. Silly is saying, it's funny, reference public opinion. Please tell when history Jews were popular. We honestly only care about USA support. I don't know what that means, Silly. Well, I don't know. It's funny, reference public opinion. Please tell me when. I don't know what that means, Silly. Can you elaborate that a little bit more? We only care about US support. Well, I mean, at the moment, you don't look, Silly. I'm not being disrespectful. Right now, you only have US support, and that's not a bad thing. They're the biggest air force in the world. They're the biggest military in the world. They're the only guys that really care. Certainly, British government would appear not to be in support of what's happening in the Middle East. John, hang on. Lincoln Template is saying, from Saturday, I declare the natives of this country shall rise all across the land, because if they don't, they never will, and it will be over. I saw a post by good old Elon the other day, and he posted something really wild. I'm not going to talk about it while I'm streaming on TikTok. I am going to talk about that when I jump over to YouTube later on, because it is kind of controversial. John is saying, and show the enemy they cannot get away with it, cannot get away with what they have done, even if that means being absolutely brutal. We have been in the school playground where you have had to do what it takes. I know I have. Yeah, it's unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. Logan Time is saying, what do you think the UK will do? Will the UK get involved? No, I don't think the UK are going to get involved at all, ladies and gentlemen. I don't believe 1 second the United Kingdom are going to get involved. You've got to understand some of the things I was saying last year, maybe even the year before, about this diversions. It's all about logistics. It's literally right now, it's about logistics. So Logan Time is saying, do you think the UK will get involved in the Middle East? No, straight away, no, not a chance. On a overt level, anyway. Covertly, yes, of course, there'll be special forces attached to Israeli special forces and US special forces. British special forces will be going over to America and then deploying. Yeah, so, but on the whole, no. And this all comes down to logistics. Let's just say that we are heading towards a global conflict of an industrial scale. If America was going to get involved in Europe, they would have to ship all their tanks, bombs, guns, trains, planes, automobiles over the ocean and then get them into Europe. That is the reality. They'd have to ship that over. That is a massive logistical task. And if Britain was to get involved in the Middle East, and Europe on a wider whole, they'd have to do the same. So logistically, it makes no sense because you're strategically, actually, you're dividing your force and you're doubling your enemies. However, lessons learned from Afghanistan and Iraq, if the Americans focus in the Middle East, they're not dividing their forces. They don't need anyone else to help them. They've got their regional allies, I would say Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. They've got their regional allies. They don't need they don't need Britain to go and help them. If anything, we just slow them down. And we don't have the logistics to get that much stuff over the sea. We don't have that much logistics. So what's going to happen is Britain is going to take the leading role in Europe against the Russians. And you know what's a good thing about Europe, guys? Lots of roads. Everything's going to be road move, rail move, where you can drive that stuff in. And again, I've said this a few times. Maybe somebody should start maybe somebody should start a haulage company in Europe. So anyway, I hope I answered that question. I really do. Right, I'm going to get the last comment on TikTok now, guys, and then I'm going to jump straight over to YouTube. And we're going to open this conversation up a little bit more when we jump over to YouTube, guys. Forgive me for doing this. It's just the algorithm on TikTok is an absolute swizzle. Like I get banned all the time. I'm surprised I've not been banned already tonight. In fact, let me see if I've got a restriction. No, I've not even got a restriction. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something right. Maybe I'm using the right code words. So I'm going to close this down in a second on TikTok. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, and I'll continue the live stream on. YouTube. Right, let me jump up and get it. Right, I'm going to try and get quite a few of these comments. The afters is saying petrodollar dominance couldn't end soon enough. Immigration would have been this bad otherwise. I don't know what angle that's coming on. I'll have a think about it and come back to that. James is saying Christians being slug red by guess who? In the Congo and Africa, guys. Yeah. There's lots of Christians being attacked in Africa right now. You're just not getting media about it for some reason. It's okay to attack Christians, nobody cares. But if you harm a hair on a Muslim's head, you'll hear about it. And I wouldn't recommend doing that, everyone, guys. Everyone should live in peace. M1979, I don't know. He's saying, anyone think this is all going to kick off on Saturday? Look, guys, I will come back to this. I do believe, I've said it quite a few times in this live stream, I do believe the threat state for Saturday, the 13th of September in London, I do believe that threat state has just gone up. We have a phenomenal amount of pro-Palestinian flag wavers in the United Kingdom. Whether you agree with that or not, guys, that's the reality of the situation. Lots of those people in the United Kingdom. So I do believe that threat state for London has gone up significantly because of this, because of these airstrikes in the Middle East. And look, guys, I'm not condemning anyone. I'm saying, like I always say, we should concentrate all our time, effort, money, resources on space exploration. We should avoid wars at all costs. But if you're in a war, you kind of need to win it, guys. It goes with the territory. Imagine being in a pub brawl, right? Imagine, right? 11:30, right? You're outside the Georgian Dragon and you're going fisticuffs. You've got your denim jacket on and your little shirt and you're going fisticuffs with Mick because Mick said your hair looked crap, all right? Just imagine that, right? You're going fisticuffs. And somebody says, Raven, you need to tuck one hand behind your shorts. And you're like, what? You're like, yeah, you need to do that. You're like, why? You're like, well, it's bad optics if you're using both hands. And you're like, no, mate, I need to win. Like, I need to win this fight first. So anyway, guys, all wars should be avoided. We should be focusing our money, time, effort, resources into space exploration. We're not. If you find yourself in a war, if you find yourself in a conflict, you must win that at all options, all costs. Piper P is saying, will the US have any backlash now for knowing the attack was going to happen? No, I don't think so. I don't think the US will have any backlash at all. Remember, the US are massive allies of Israel. What I will say though, real quickly, slightly off topic, but I've been seeing a lot of these videos and a lot more since I've been talking about it, of these like so-called gangsters in Chicago. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a gangster in Chicago right now and the US military is going to come and close you down, like, it's over for you, bro. It's literally over right now. It's over for you. If you're a gangster, right, and you've got your little beret, like, just like, it's not going to be funny. It's going to be, I feel sad for you. Like, if you're a gangster in Chicago right now and you're giving it the big one, yo, you feeling me for real, bruh? US military gonna close us down. Bring it, bruv. Bring it, fam. We're gonna take you down. Like, I'm like, are you serious right now? So some gangster who spent his whole life eating chicken, eating burgers, not going to the gym, not learning weapons, not going on career courses, not learning how to be a sniper, not learning unarmed combat, not learning arrest and restraint, not learning every asset of that weapon system. You and your fried chicken and your burgers, you're going to take those guys down? Really? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Like, if you're a gangster right now in Chicago, I think you kind of need to stop being a gangster, or you need to get some good life insurance. That's all I'm saying. Stop making these videos saying you're going to take down the US military, because it's silly. It's silly. And it's futile, you know. It's like, it's just so silly. It kind of reminds me of, remember the invasion of Iraq in 2003, the second one? I can remember watching, while I was in, while I was on Kuwait, we still had news feeds. As the tanks started to roll in, and you guys can check this out on whatever platform. There's some Iraqi, and he's standing there and he's saying, "There will be no US military in Baghdad. We will destroy the infidel. They will not come here. We will destroy each and every one of them. Allah is protecting us." And you're like, dude, there's A1 Abrahams behind you, like right now. How's that protection working out for you? It was quite funny. And when I see these gangsters in Chicago, that's kind of what I get reminded of. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, sorry guys, I kind of digressed off topic. Listen, the crux of this live stream, I am going to close it down now on TikTok. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on TikTok, and I am the Real Raven 1 on X. I'm going to close this down now on TikTok. The crux of this live stream has been, and I hope I have tried to like, not, I could have gone really dark on some of the things that happened in Israel on the 7th of October. I didn't do that because I just didn't do that. Dark things happened, you know, and there's nobody else to blame but Hamas, the Palestinians from Hamas. So that's the reality of the situation. Everything is stemming from that. You can go down conspiracy roads as much as you want. It kind of doesn't really matter right now because this is the situation we're in. Israel, Doha airstrikes. The Israelis have ordered the evacuation of Gaza City, which to me anyway, and anybody with half a brain cell, would allude to a ground invasion or something worse. That's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. The game has changed in the United Kingdom from yesterday when I did the live stream. I believe the threat state has gone up massively. Massively, the threat state has gone up in the United Kingdom. I'm going to close this down now, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back on tomorrow at 10. I'll be back on tomorrow in the morning at 10. I'm going to jump over to YouTube now, guys. If you want to come and jump over, we will continue this conversation. And no doubt this will get a little bit more controversial, shall I say, because I do have to mind my P's and Q's while I'm on TikTok. But if not, I'll see you in the morning. Right, we're off. We are off, ladies and gentlemen. We're just streaming. I can open up a little bit more, and I don't have to worry about the words that I'm saying as much, although I have had a few videos on YouTube restricted. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the situation in the Middle East is going crackers right now. Like I said, right at the beginning of this live stream, there's two. Well, you know what? I didn't say this at all. Two ways you can win a war. You can go full on Genghis Khan. You can destroy everyone, everything, make sure that there's nothing left to ever attack you again. That's one way. Or the other way, you can go into that country and you can occupy that country for 40 years. Has to be 40 years, not a day earlier. Obviously, the Genghis Khan option, that kind of speaks for itself. If there's nothing left to attack you, nothing can attack you. The 40 years thing, that gives those kids who are not born or who are like 5-year-old, that gives them the ability to live under your rules, your jurisdiction, your way of life for 40 years. Then those kids that are 5 are now 45. They're the ones who are in control of the country. They're the ones who are running things. They're the ones who are your bros. So that's the other way. If you want to look at a bad example of this, a good, bad example is Afghanistan. The coalition left Afghanistan after 20 years. Absolute vacuum. Lots of the people who were fighters in 2001 actually. 2001, they were still fighters in 2021 when the coalition left. So that is an example of how not to do it. I don't know if this example in Israel is going to be an example of how to do it. What I know is they are going Genghis Khan. They are, you know, the Israelis are going Genghis Khan. I'm not criticizing the Israelis. I'm not siding with the Israelis. What I'm saying is wars are brutal, and people need to understand wars are brutal before you get into a war. So when people are waving these flags, death to America, death to America, and burning flags in countries, like that has consequences, all right? If you don't want to be a gangster, don't play gangster games, all right? If you want to be a gangster, accept the gangster rules. That's what, you know, it's, and it is what it is, guys. It's disgusting. You know, all wars are disgusting. Every child, every adult, every man, woman, everyone that transcends the beams of light in these conflicts. It's ridiculous. Right, let me jump up and get some of these comments. Right, so many comments. Nymphodamus or something is saying, Keir Starmer reported to court for crimes against humanity over Chagos surrender. Nymphodamus, or whatever your name is, like, I don't understand that. Like, let me Google this real quick. I had to Google something else as well, didn't I? Can somebody tell me what I needed to Google? No, I can't. Oh, wow. Gee, wow. Do you know what? Yes. Thank you so much for that. So 9 hours ago, this threw me by. Chagos deal has not been scrutinised by Security Committee panel. Panel of MPs complained they were not consulted over the treaty. Keir Starmer's Chagos Islands deal has not been scrutinised and may be. Hang on. Let me click that. Has been reported to the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity. Thank you for that. Who put me onto that? Whoever put me onto that, thank you. I think they've gone on the chat. Hang on. Knife. I don't know. Whoever the lady was who just put me onto this. Yeah, that's phenomenal. I didn't realize that had happened. Sorry, guys, I'm just going up through the chat. You may be better off asking Tony Blair what he thinks. My opinion is he's in charge for what it's worth. Yeah, so you've got so I think what we're alluding to here is this, you know, the Fabian Society in the United Kingdom. It's like this liberal left wing. They're a think tank, but always beware of think tanks. So this Fabian Society in the United Kingdom. Look, guys, if you're just joining for the first time and you've not done so already, can you hit those buttons below? You know, the buttons that really help me out, like the subscribe button and the like bell notification. And it's free to do so, ladies and gentlemen. Every time I see a little finger going, pressing that button, I get a little bit more excited. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. I get a little bit excited. But yeah, John's saying he thinks Tony Blair's still in charge, which would lead back to the Fabian Society, and all Fabians are one, or someone once said. Martin is saying that I'm not going to repeat what Martin's saying actually. Marie Gen X is saying, Sean, retaliation. What would you expect Qatar's response to be? Qatar don't have the ability to respond. The Qataris don't have nothing. Absolutely nothing. The Qataris do not have the capability to attack Israel. It's not on the cards. I mean, you could have some diplomatic posturing, but right now, I think so. Diplomacy is fine, and you can be like a diplomat, but you know when the war starts, the diplomats get swept to one side. I can remember several incidents, but one incident in particular. I was in Afghanistan, and we was on an operation and on a job. And that job was a really important job. And the Prime Minister then, I think it was Gordon Brown, he was watching. So you can imagine the scene, everybody in the United Kingdom, they're all watching. Gordon Brown, do you know what? I can't say what I was going to say. I can't say what I was going to say, guys. I can't say what I was going to say. What I will say is when wars are being fought, the politicians will do as they're told, basically. So I don't see really any response from Qatar. Lisa is saying, give Sean the thumbs up situated under the live cast. I don't know how all this stuff works, guys. I really don't know how all this stuff works. But yeah, if there's a thumbs up underneath the live cast, please give me the thumbs up, because it's always better to have a thumbs up than a thumbs down. Is there any link between that Mahmoud and Blair? Reason I ask is she was pushing for digital ideas back as far back. Okay, so let's just say, so when we talk about links between politicians, I mean, I think let's answer. So sorry, I'm waffling then to myself. So D Marie Gen X is saying, is there a link between that Mahmoud? I'm assuming you mean Shabina Mahmoud, and I said that. Did you hear my accent then? And Tony Blair. The reason I ask is she was pushing for digital ID as far back as 2010, and we all know Blair is set to make a lot of money out of it. Well, let's just look at that. Let's just reframe that question. I think digital IDs have been a goal of the Fabian Society and of the liberal elite for a long time. It's a way that you can use, it's a way that you can control people. You really can. You can control people with finances. It's so easy. It's so easy once you get that digital ID, and that digital ID in with universal basic income as well. So you can imagine once you get the digital ID, the economy's gone. It's over. It's finished. It's not going back. We have to have a new financial system. Oh, we're going to have a new universal basic income. It's going to be all right for this first couple of months, but then it's going to get draconian real quick. And people are going to have to understand, do you want money or do you want to breathe? Phil Q is saying, Saudis must have been on side to let them use their airspace. Yeah, so the Saudis are relatively on side. Now, you've got to understand the geopolitical. You've got to understand in that region, everything's about oil. Everything's about oil. We can argue that it's not, but when people are making that amount of money, it is. So the Iranians control the shipping route out. And look, I'm not going to even argue with anyone to say that, oh, but Sean, the Iranians don't control the shipping route, blah, blah. Just stop. They do. The Iranians, they can close that shipping route whenever they want. The Saudi Arabians have a way to get their own oil out with the East-West pipeline that was built in the, I think it was built in 88. I may be mild. You know what, guys? It was built in the 80s. I'll just go with that. It was built in the 80s, so the Saudi Arabians can get their oil out. So the Saudi Arabians don't have to play fiddle to the Iranians. Sorry, guys. Close that one. Witchy Lab is just saying, if you're going to leave your children and babies at home, I think I must have missed your previous comment, Witchy. Tilly is saying there's a huge scandal as BB, very close consultants, are in prison now, suspected that they were working for Qatar. It's called the Qatar Gate. It's called Qatar Gate here. Thank you for that, Silly. We here in Western media, we've not heard anything of that. Logan Time is saying, as a dummy guide, can you explain exactly what happened, please? Oh, Logan, what? Oh. Can you elaborate a little bit more what you want, what I need to explain? I will, 100%. I just went through a lot of things there. I talked about... we talked about the East-West pipeline in Saudi Arabia. We talked about potential responses from Qatar. Can you just elaborate a little bit more what you want me to explain? The lady Nymphandria, I think, I do apologize, I'm not pronouncing her name right. Nymphandria is saying, I've got my liqueur and chocolate stashed away before they say you can't have any. Yeah, you know what, guys? Is that all we're getting? Is that all we're stashing away, liquor and chocolate? Do you know what? And if you are stashing liquor and chocolate away, more power to you. Right, I'm going to jump down, guys. I'm going to jump down because I'm just conscious of the time. James is saying Europe is collapsing. Is it collapsing, or is this the planned conditioning to lead us into a third world war? James is saying Europe is collapsing. French government collapsed for the 4th time in 2 years. Germany's industry is on its knees. Absolutely, Germany's industry is on its knees. And everywhere else is waiting for the impending doom. Let me just add to that real quick. Germany's industries collapsed because they built their industry. Germany built their industrial base. I mean heavy industry here. Germany built their heavy industrial base on cheap imports of gas from Russia. And as soon as Nord Stream 2 went kaboom, that was kind of it for Germany. Like, you know, I did videos on this like way back. As soon as it went kaboom, like I literally go back through my YouTube videos. Like, you know, when you do these videos and they're way ahead of their time, nobody listens. Nobody listens. Like when I tell you guys, there's going to be a mass exodus of Western culture to Antarctica. Nobody's listening right now. But you know what? It's coming. I don't care. It's coming. And it'll happen. Sorry. So as soon as that pipeline went kaboom, Nord Stream 2, the first, I did a video and I said, this is the end to German heavy manufacturing. Everything comes from energy. Whether you want to believe it or not, if you want to listen to fake news, it comes from like, oh, diplomatic tariffs and, you know, our trading deal with this country. Stop, shut up, apply your safety catch. Everything comes from energy. With an abundant source of energy, whether it's clean or not, nobody cares. Well, if you've got an abundant source of energy that's like massive, you can outbid everyone because everything comes from energy. Sorry guys. Oh, I meant as in the attack tonight and the reasons, please. All right, okay. So just as a quick synopsis then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you 2 things that happened tonight. So the first thing that happened, I'll give you the second thing last. The second thing first. The Israeli government, I think it was Benjamin Netanyahu, came out and he said he's told everybody in Gaza City to evacuate and head south, which would mean there's going to be a ground offensive or something worse. The second thing that happened was the Israelis sent in an airstrike to Doha, which is the capital of Qatar, and the alleged target was leadership of Hamas leadership. Now, conflicting reports right now. Some reports are saying that the Israeli airstrike was successful, took everyone out. Some reports are saying, yeah, it was the airstrike hit, but everyone's still alive. I don't know. I've not got any information behind the scenes. All I can give you is what I'm reading on open source media. The reasoning for that, I believe, and this is just me looking at things strategically and tactically with my experience from the military and planning similar operations, would be this was an opportunist target whereby those people were in that building, they were having a meeting, everybody was round there at the same time. Somebody leaks that information and they said, right, this is how long it takes to get a jet over there. We can send those jets, we can do those airstrikes, we can do it, but we need to do it now. And somebody just said, yeah, go for it, bro. And that's what happened. I don't think there's a deeper conspiracy, knowing strategic tactical operations as I do. Right, hang on, guys. Let me jump down. DB Cooper, isn't that the guy? So your name is DB Cooper. Were you really in the SAS, DB Cooper? Are you a Walt? I don't know. I'm not going to call you. You know, I'm just going to say DB Cooper was in the SAS. I'm just going to take it at face value. DB Cooper is saying, isn't DB Cooper the guy who robbed the airplane and jumped out of the air. Like, isn't that DB Cooper? But DB Cooper is just saying Macron and his husband. So I don't know what that means. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I'm going to close this down now. I've been on far too long. The crux of this live stream was Israel, Doha, airstrikes, threat in the United Kingdom, I believe, has just changed. The game has just changed, and I do believe the threat state has gone up significantly. The threat state for the 13th, because of this airstrike, you're going to get a lot of fanatics in the United Kingdom. We know they're there, whether you agree with that or not. I personally don't. The reality is they are there. So those people are going to get, hang on. So those people obviously are going to get a little bit angry. Those people are going to be angry. They're going to be sad. They're not going to be, they're going to be out. They're going to see all these people waving their union flags, and they're going to want to. Let's just see what happens on the 13th, guys. I'm saying the threat state's gone up. We'll see on the 13th. I hope things go peacefully. I hope everyone has a good time. I'm just saying, be vigilant. Don't take your kids. Make sure you've got shoes you can run in, and don't get drunk. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. I will be, hang on. Okay, so Bills is saying no. So what we're talking about here is the wider aspect in the Middle East. Let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens. I don't want to get into any arguments at the moment because I'm trying to close it down. Anyway, guys, I'm going to close this down now. I'll be back on tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Just as a final word, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe the threat state in the United Kingdom has gone up. And like I always say on all these live streams, guys, all right, all wars should be avoided at all costs. If you're getting into a war, you need to know what that actually means. And if you're in a war, you should win that at all costs. And ultimately, we need to stop wars and focus our time, effort, money, and resources on space exploration. Because ultimately, we're fighting over finite resources, and there's infinite resources in the cosmos. I don't know. Call me old-fashioned. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow at 10. And if I don't see you tomorrow at 10, I hope you have a great time.